hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books on all aspects of homosexuality, bisexuality, lesbianism, transsexuality, all the wonderfully fascinating and tiny little precise aspects of this totally mysterious, totally fabulous world of love, lust, passion. Oh, I'm quite carried away. But we go back half a century to the end of October 1969. 1969, what was happening then? Well, there'd been the Stonewall riots in June. That was a few days after Judy Garland died. The Manson murders took place in August. There was Black Power, there was women's liberation, and way in the background there was something called gay liberation and the demonstrations against bars that refused to serve gay people, and then also against the army that was tossing gays out of the armed forces even just on suspicion of being gay. You could lose your job, and all sorts of, your reputation would be wrecked. So Time Magazine on October the 31st dealt with the most delicate subject of the day. Homosexuality, yes! Look at that cover, look at those lurid greens and lurid pinks, and there's a young man, actually a real live homosexual apparently, who agreed to pose for the portrait. Now, I've been buying Time Magazine since 1963, and I loved every minute of it because it was fun, and I didn't realise just how right-wing it was in those days. And of course it was very, very homophobic. Not in an obvious way, but there were lots of trickles of vicious comments about effeminate males and butch women. So it was quite a surprise that they had actually done a whole cover story on homosexuality, male homosexuality. And the thrust of it, basically, is that homosexuality is a way of being. Homosexuals are, they should be treated equally, they should have equal rights, but they're sick, and that all possible civilized methods to discourage it should be brought into play. And if you can't discourage it, try and help them. And if they won't be helped, well, what can you do? So it really was a kind of negative, positive, positive, negative. Didn't really matter to me at that time because I was on the brink of a gay life. I was actually on the brink because I'd had a love affair, and love really does completely dispel the dark clouds that this magazine was trying to bring in by associating homosexuality with the Nazis. And in one case, a psychiatrist in the magazine said that it's like having a diseased gallbladder, and that homosexuals that wanted to get married or felt they were married was just as sick as those homosexuals that cruised public toilets. Of course, it was interesting that this gentleman, his son was gay and ended up as Bill Clinton's advisor on gay and lesbian community matters. So there you go. Must just say that the culture of the time was quite interesting. The films that had opened in October 1969 were Staircase, where you had Rex Harrison and Richard Burton as two very notorious heterosexuals acting really hard to play gay men. Midnight Cowboy, which is about lovelessness and loneliness. On the stage, A Patriot for Me, which was about a gay spy. And the top books at the time, well, Jacqueline Suzanne's The Love Machine and The Godfather. So it was a time of extreme conservatism in America, but also burgeoning liberation. And I think this cover story, Time Magazine, really says a lot because it's trying very hard to actually burst through the carapace of religious intolerance, and also the horrible fact that in those days a gay person had no identity at all. There was no gay identity as such. You were basically a failed heterosexual. You were a deviant heterosexual. So actually you were a criminal because you were going against your nature. Whereas of course we all know now that nature is nature, and I am nature's gift.